Greetings, internet world. You're in the Beat Sessions, your place for all things music. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's venture into the land of pop music and talk about Taylor Swift and her record, The Life of a Showgirl. She released that on October 3rd. This is the 12th studio album for the famed singer-songwriter and her follow-up to 2024's The Tortured Poets Department. Both albums were created in the midst of the Eras Tour, the highest grossing tour ever with $2 billion in total revenue, making it arguably one of the biggest global phenomenons, not just in music, but arguably in the history of the modern world. I'm pretty sure she became more popular than Jesus and the Beatles combined. More than anything, though, the two records demonstrate that a lot can happen in a couple of years. The Life of a Showgirl is a massive 180 from the Tortured Poets Department, a record she started on the heels of 2022's Midnights that operates as a cathartic exorcism formed around introspections of her tumultuous romantic life and her struggles with the ongoing public perception of her celebrity. It's angry, somber, witty, and self-aware, cloaked in a shroud of haunting and delicate music inspired by the sounds of chamber pop, synth pop, and folk pop, with a bit of country and rock and roll to boot. Roughly a year and a half later, we see a new Taylor on The Life of a Showgirl, a woman who has finally found true love, as we all know, and who also seems to have come to terms with the complexities of being just so damn famous. It's a lighthearted and beguiling affair that basks in the glow of an artist that is approaching midlife and seems not only content with that, but also very excited to share her energy with her passionate fan base. The album is a joyful reflection of the exuberance she felt during the Eras Tour, full of propulsive rhythms and energetic, robust grooves, all nestled in an infectious combination of R&B, disco, soft rock, and punk and electro pop that binds the familiar sounds of 1989, Reputation, and Lover. As one individual to another, I'm happy to see her happy, but the lingering question is, does all of this add up to a record that makes for a compelling listen? The record finds Taylor working with Max Martin and Shellback once again, who she teamed up with on 1989 and Reputation. So it makes sense that the record would adopt some of the influences from those projects while also attempting to carve out its own identity. The production is outstanding, one of the big highlights of the record, with Swift flying to Sweden in between Eras tour dates to record with them. I'd argue that this locale is also the inspiration for the glittery disco feel on many of these tracks. Thank you, ABBA. And I love the commitment to the album concept as well, especially after the sprawling length of the Tortured Poets Department, and that's even without the addition of the anthology tracks. The Life of a Showgirl is a solid collection of 12 radio-friendly pop songs, coming in at just a little over 40 minutes. And they all come together well, but I'll admit that it feels a little tired in some regards. It's rare that artists are able to achieve so much success with constant reinvention, but her career has bloomed in defiance of that logic, and I think that that is a big part of her appeal. The album is exuberant and sonically pleasant, but there isn't much that she's doing to break new ground, and that feels a little disappointing in light of the revelations in her life. There's minimal variation in the structure of these songs that seem perfectly content to settle into the conventional pop structure of verse, chorus, bridge, coda. And I just wish that she'd pushed some of those boundaries a little more. There's nostalgic familiarity that is an undeniable part of its charm, but for an artist that has excelled when it comes to being adventurous, the tracks on The Life of a Showgirl seem rather pedestrian, given all the hype, and I blame Travis Kelce for that. The hooks are lacking as well. There are great melodies at play, but there's nothing that elicits a top-of-your-lungs sing-along in the car, and the ones that come close seem to flounder, like the hook, "I'm Not a Bad Bitch," and "This Isn't Savage" from Eldest Daughter, or they feel littered with too much camp, like "I Ain't Gonna Knock on Wood," which feels like it's meant to turn heads, but I could only muster an awkward chuckle when I listen to that song. Given the growth that we've seen from her on her last four records, I feel the same way about the album's themes. There are lots of Easter eggs which will tickle longtime fans for sure, a nod to Shakespeare and her friend Abigail, a song full of Elizabeth Taylor references, and expected digs at other famous rivals, like the track Father Figure, where she sings, "I can make deals with the devil because my dick's bigger," and the song Actually Romantic, which features the lines, "And I know you think it comes off vicious, but it's precious, adorable, like a toy chihuahua barking at me from a tiny purse." It is kind of a funny visual, but it also feels like love has filed down her once sharp teeth, and these lines just don't seem to land as hard as she wants them to. There's nothing new here outside of wanting to envelop herself in her newfound love with Travis Kelce, which I'll state again, I'm really, really happy for her. But the whole thing has the excitement of a royal wedding. And let's be real, that's not something that's really that exciting. Opener Ophelia contains the line, "Keep it 100," while Olive Wood explores how irresistible she finds her man, with the obvious nod being the line, "New heights of manhood," with lots of innuendo there as well. And the rest of the album is littered with references to him, and while the lyrics do get personal, they don't feel intimate the way that her best writing does. There are moments where she does execute well, though, on this album. The tracks Honey and Wishlist feel Kelsey inspired, but also universal in their charm. Like anyone could sing it to the love of their life. And the tracks Opalite and Ruin the Friendship are definitely great new additions to the highlight reel of her catalog, particularly the latter, which made me think of that exact moment in time where I could have made that move, and I'll always regret it. That song really got me. She has that ability, that power, but a lot of the album seems to fall short of that potential, and I think that's what's so disappointing. Her celebrity is built on her ability to relate to the common person when her life is anything but normal. Ultimately, the album's main priority is the focus on her life in the limelight. It's in the title, and the marquee title track that features fellow showgirl Sabrina Carpenter, but that track feels a bit lackluster too. But damn it if they didn't both work their asses off to get to this point, and I think that that's really the charm of this album. After so much success, I think it's okay for her to take a moment to enjoy a victory lap. And that's where the glitz and glamour transcends. For most of us, our hard work will not result in fame or fortune, but at its core, the life of a showgirl is about achieving your goals and finding peace in the process of navigating the adversity that one overcomes through that journey. And that is something that I think everybody can deem worth celebrating. She's given her fans so much, so I think it's appropriate to reciprocate and let Taylor have her moment. The album opens with the track The Fate of Ophelia. A little drum roll ushers in a hauntingly beautiful piano lick, with the hi-hat keeping a 4/4 signature to back, with a quick shift where the piano drops, and it's overtaken by a buoyant, elastic synth, a full beat, and Taylor's vocals that sustain the eerie mood of the song. It's perfect given the Shakespearean reference to one of his most tragic characters, and it has a little bit of a Lana Del Rey vibe to it. The piano works back in subtly halfway through the verse. The chorus explodes with bright vocal melodies and catchy hand claps, with disco energy that's reminiscent of ABBA, but I enjoy the way that it still retains its dark feel. At the 2 minute and 45-second mark, the song drops into a bridge with just the opening piano and the lower register, rhythmic, recitative style that she executes so well. The moment is brief, with a soaring melody taking the listener into one final turn of the chorus to close, and a crisp finish with just piano and the line, "You saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia." I like the positive outcome given the context of a tragic tale. Your second track is entitled Elizabeth Taylor, is a classic pop arrangement of subdued piano, swelling strings that shift in and out, and heavy effects in her vocals. At the 40-second mark, the beat bursts into the song to give it a contemporary pop and R&B touch. Funky rhythm is utilized in the second verse, enhancing the track with additional genre influences. And the track features a mellow percussion-driven middle eight that begins at about the 2 minute and 15-second mark, appropriately referencing White Diamonds. Swells of strings add depth, leading the track into the chorus-filled coda that fades into this kind of like unfolding sort of element as it finishes. Your third track is entitled Opalite. It's got shimmering electric guitar that opens for a moment until Taylor's vocals take over to usher in the rhythm. It's a great balance of breezy and funky with breathy vocals in her lower register that feels sullen. Lighter melodies work in with the double tracking before she takes off into a chorus that takes the track into more pop-inspired disco territory. The rhythm works in lo-fi to start the second verse for just a bit of fluctuation, but then soon shifts back into full form with swirling synths. Her vocals provide a slight variance to delineate a bridge that maintains the rest of the song's elements, with a brief shift into muted shuffling that takes the song into the final turn of the chorus. Your fourth track is entitled Father Figure. Opens with a slightly distorted drum beat before vocals and a bubbly pelagic synth element that interpolates George Michael's famous hit of the same name. It's going to overtake the track, and I really like the variance that she provides to that sample. The synths transition in the chorus, adopting a trickling effect that's shimmering and icy, but in a pleasant way, like the golden lights that adorn houses during the holidays. The track moves into its middle eight at about the minute and 45-second mark, with sunny harmonies and synths, and a bit of her recitative rhythm. The music drops to build back in quick, with a bridge that leads into the coda. Your fifth song is entitled Eldest Daughter. Light piano with a tinge of melancholy leads this one out, accompanied by Taylor's vocals that condemn the ubiquitous tough guy behavior that plagues social media in a moment of balladry. It gets more focused on a particular kind of sinister person that takes advantage. A touch of bass adds texture to the chorus as the song develops, with the addition of acoustic guitar that marks the start of the second verse. Soaring melodies and harmonies define the middle eight that fizzles at the end to lead into the final chorus. Your sixth track, and probably my favorite, is entitled Ruin the Friendship. A little drum roll that honestly reminds me of High Plains Drifter by the Beastie Boys launches this one into a sunny combination of soft rock and R&B. It has a solid, funky little bass lick, an acoustic riff with a gentle twinkle, and great flow from her lyrics. She hits her higher vocal register moving into the chorus, highlighted by ethereal piano textures that take it into a dreamy realm. It drifts into a middle eight at the halfway point that finishes with a fade in the music, featuring an isolation of her vocals that build the lead back with acoustic guitar. It finishes tragically, and I like the sentiment driven home in the coda. It's better to ruin the friendship than spend the rest of your life wondering what could have been. I think it's something that we all can relate to. Your seventh track is entitled Actually Romantic. A little dig track here opens up with a little downstroked pop punk electric guitar, with her vocals joining the party after a few measures. The first verse remains minimal, moving into the chorus with the same fashion, with the addition of quiet, droning synths. The hi-hat works in on a simple bridge, setting up a drum roll that opens the second verse with percussion and giving the song a nice groove. The middle eight is distinguished by call and response vocals and a slight shift in melody. The coda rocks the chorus with a refrain of "It's actually romantic," and I really like the energy that finishes on this one. Your eighth track is entitled Wish List, features a sharp piano lick drenched in reverb, a little hi-hat to drive, and bright lyrics built on the repeated hook, "They Want It." The beat kicks in for the chorus while Taylor takes her vocals into breathy falsetto, with double tracking giving them added body. The beat carries into the second verse with a quick shift into a funky groove that's bolstered by the bass lick. The bridge is minimal, with an electric snare keeping form through the shapeless synth textures and Taylor's vocals. It's sentimental, reflecting on her desire to have a simple, domesticated life, and this is one of those moments where I feel like she's really kind of like generating her universal appeal very well. Your ninth track is entitled Wood. Disco-tinged guitar charges in on this one, while funky staccato rhythm crashes, developing through the intro. The song continues in this vein through the verse, finding an R&B-soaked groove in the pre-chorus, and then reverting to the stop-and-go rhythm for the chorus. It's pretty campy, with lots of innuendo, and if you question if it's about Mr. Kelsey, as I mentioned in the line, new heights of manhood should clear up any doubt. There's lots of references to things like magic wands and hard rocks. And while I appreciate the campy aspect of it, there's also a bit of a get a room kind of feel to it. I do like the moment she admits that all that bitchin', wishing on a fallen star never did me any good. But it's hard to believe she's completely earnest about this sentiment with some of the rest of the album's themes. I do appreciate the line though. Your 10th track is entitled Cancelled. Moody, downstrummed electric guitar takes the album back into that kind of like pop punk territory. The first verse maintains the minimalism of the intro, with the guitar dropping out and a quick isolated vocal hailing the chorus. The track shifts into somewhat sinister electro pop feel at this point, with her breathy vocals tapping into her higher register. Soft bass drum gives the second verse more texture, with the development of synths working in as well. The second chorus includes the addition of strings, transitioning into a formless bridge that leads to the final chorus. Your 11th track is entitled Honey. Light, broody staccato piano with a touch of hi-hat opens the penultimate track, with a brief vocal before an electro-pop beat bursts through to dominate the track. I dig the smooth little bass lick that works in, and the way that it works with lots of open space. The middle 8 shifts the track into more of an R&B feel, with a minor flute component shifting into a minimal guitar and vocal segment that builds back into the final go on the chorus. And then your 12th track is your title track, The Life of a Showgirl, featuring Miss Sabrina Carpenter. Opens with big bleacher handclap style percussion and soft droning synths, with vocals and hushed piano following quickly after. I do like the way the production of the piano just really blends with their vocals. Sabrina takes over on the second verse, with tinges of slide guitar giving it a bit of a country feel at that point. Their voices really do sound great together, though. And then the tempo of the track speeds up around the 2-minute and 15-second mark in a fun middle 8 featuring staccato strings with rhythmic recitative vocals. It feels like a moment from a musical as the momentum continues to rise through the finish of that segment. And then a brief, breezy guitar bridges for a final turn of the chorus and a coda that mimics the finale of a live show. From a creative standpoint, as I said, this thing, it really doesn't have a whole lot of depth. It's really not that dynamic. And from a thematic and an emotional standpoint, I gotta say that I prefer Tortured Taylor more than Newfound Happy Taylor. But I will say that the record it's enjoyable. It's really fun and easy to listen to. It's not her greatest work by any stretch. I wouldn't even put this in her top 5 records. I have a good friend that I went to college with. She teaches music theory. And I just saw a post that she put out. And she says, this album is like dessert. It's a little something sweet at the end, but this isn't anything that you want for a meal. It doesn't provide nourishment. It doesn't challenge you the way that you want good music to do that. And so it's with that in mind that, you know, like I do see myself listening to this record from time to time, but not throwing it on as frequently as many of other classics that I mentioned throughout this review. I think that this is a great phase for her in her life. And I feel like creating this album in a lot of ways allowed her to get some stuff off her chest while also, you know, just executing what she does really well. But down the road, I would love to see her get back onto that path of doing something different, trying something new out, and exploring different thematic ideas, especially the older that she gets and with her perception changing on life as, you know, the rest of us go through, like as we age. I'm going to give this record a 7 out of 10, and I am going to vinyl please it. I do want to include it in the shelf, but like I said, it's probably not going to hit the table as much as 1989 for sure. I absolutely love that record. That is a pop gem. But I hope that you've all enjoyed this record, and I hope you find this review helpful. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2025. And please stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews. We will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.